All right. Well, that was embarrassing, but everything seems to be working now. Honestly, that was my fault. I was kind of trying something new with the camera, and it didn't work. I should not be allowed access to mess with those things, but stream appears to be working now. Everything's fine. You can see me. I think you can hear me. So let's get rolling. First and foremost, big news. We hit 1 million. We got 1 million subscribers, and we hit that right before midnight my time. So yes, the dream came true, folks. We did hit 1 million subscribers yesterday. So thank you all. For your support. And your continued support, your viewership. I mean, honestly, that is obviously what keeps me going here. So we are absolutely thrilled. That is a huge milestone for us. And on to 2 million now. I'm not going to set a goal of like, let's get 2 million by the end of today. I think that's probably a little unrealistic, but you never know, right? I mean, crazier things have happened, but no, that's not going to happen. But hey, thank you all for pushing us to 1 million subscribers. That is truly amazing, especially considering that yesterday was my first day as this channel being my full-time focus. So off to an amazing start. You know who's not off to an amazing start, however? Alina Habba. Yesterday, an appeals court ruled that Alina Habba was, of course, illegally appointed as the U.S. Attorney for the District of New Jersey, and therefore she is disqualified. So Alina Habba is out. Super chat here. Thank you very much. This tossing some coins to Farron from Scorpius. The rest of the name, unfortunately, is cut off, but thank you so much for that super chat. We definitely appreciate it. But Alina Habba is out, folks. 3-judge panel on the appeals court upheld the lower court's ruling that she was illegally appointed. She served way past her time. She should have been gone in July, but she was still there, still attempting to prosecute people. And the appeals court again ruled with the lower court and said, nah, there are rules in place. And you, as the U.S. attorney, ought to know this, and you ought to be able to follow these rules. Now, what gets me about this is that the hearing that Alina Habba personally attended on this matter actually took place on October 20th. So we went nearly a month and a half of the appeals court sitting there thinking, before we finally get the ruling on December 1st that, yeah, you're out of here. Took them a month and a half, which was very odd. But it is hilarious to me that, yes, Alina Habba was there. She, didn't necessarily represent herself, but, she certainly doesn't help any case that she is personally involved in. Let's never forget, this is a woman who lost every single case that she tried for Donald Trump. Now, this does have implications, obviously, on the prosecutions that Alina Habba was handling, including the attempted prosecution of Democratic Representative LaMonica McIver. I'll explain that in a second. But first, another super chat here from Pete the Rock 2002. Thank you so much. Says, congrats on you to you for making 1 million subs. As for Alina, she had a habit of following Trump. Her garden state lies bare. Lots of puns. I always appreciate that. And thank you very much for the super chat. So as for the prosecutions, again, the big one, of course, Representative LaMonica McIver, that Habba was trying to charge with assault for trying to get into the ICE detention facility in her district, which she is fully allowed to do. Video evidence clearly shows that McIver was not the assaulter. If anything, she was the one being assaulted. So what happens to that prosecution now that Habba's out? Well, unfortunately, this one is not necessarily working the same way that last week's dismissal of Lindsay Halligan did. In that ruling last week, the judge said, okay, Halligan was illegally appointed. You can't serve, and therefore all of your prosecutions are dead. They're gone. Bye-bye. This time, however, the judges in New Jersey said, yes, all of your prosecutions are gone. You cannot bring any charges against any of these people. It's over with. But we're not enforcing that. We're putting a stay on that part of the ruling pending your appeals process. So the prosecutions are much like Schrodinger's cat. They're both dead and alive until we get to the end of that appeals process for Alina Habba, which, I mean, I guess, yeah, that makes sense. Of course, it is something that the judges will do, but I don't see this playing out any differently in the appeals process. Alina Habba has now been smacked down by every court that she has gone up with. The Trump administration's getting smacked around left and right on these cases, with Halligan, now Habba, and of course there was another one. God, I forget the name. I had it in here, but it's not worth sitting here looking like an idiot for long. But it's the third person. You just know that. So it's great. Let's go to some comments to read, excuse me. It's early. I'm a little flustered. I'm excited about the million, so you're going to have to bear with me a bit. It says, Democratic landslide is likely if we vote, and we must get our message about the economy and other issues, says Jocelyn Cooper, 9736. You're absolutely right. I mean, if Democrats focus and hammer in on those economic issues, that's where they're going to win. They're not going to win going out there and telling people that Donald Trump is an authoritarian a-hole and he's destroying the country. Everybody knows that, okay? I'm not saying, oh, well, don't say it because it's not true. It's absolutely true. We don't need to say it. We don't need to spend millions of dollars telling people something they already know. What we need to do is tell people, one, he crashed the economy, and two, here's how we will fix it. Because you can't just tell people he's a problem, or this party's a problem, or these people are a problem. You have to offer the solution. And that's the part that's been coming up short for the Democrats, is the second half of it, offering the solution, the better alternative. But I think they can do it this year. Well, next year, technically. Another super chat from YoRocky89. Thank you very much, from Canada. Says, congrats, Farron, on earning 1 million subs. See you at 2 million. Last May, I was on vacation in Paris, London, but I made a point of keeping up with your content. Much respect, from Canada. Well, thank you very much. And I also make a point when I go on vacation. I usually will be doing videos from there. So yeah, the news never stops. News doesn't take a vacation. So even when we get to take vacations, we're all still involved in it. And that's great. And it's also horrible, because we do occasionally need those times, not just me, I'm talking about you guys too, but to unplug and get this out of your heads for a few days. Devil Bunny X says, hang in there, blue friends, especially those in red areas. If we all work together, we can defeat this insanity. Stay strong. That actually reminds me, first of all, great message. Second of all, in my district here, the one that, is represented or was by Matt Gaetz, what we have is one city over here, Pensacola. It's been red since 1960 election, I believe. This past election, the special election we just had to replace Gaetz' seat, well, months ago at this point, everything blurs together. It went blue. The district did not, okay? The district did not. It stayed red, and of course the Republican won. But that city, the biggest city in this whole district, went blue. Something I didn't think I'd see happen, but it did. So shifts are happening even in deep red areas like where I am. It's trending towards purple. Not quite there yet, but a couple of, cycles, maybe it is. And that's what happens when you get active. That's what happens when people get informed. And I love to see that happening. A member comment here. Thank you so much. Sue Becca says, extra treats for the cats and dogs for the milestone. Absolutely. I actually have a whole new giant pack of treats that I need to open up today for both the cats and the dogs. So yes, all of the animals will in fact be getting special treats today. And I hope I do too. I don't know. When Ring of Fire crossed 1 million subscribers, I was sitting there, I was watching it, scrolling through, refreshing, watching it happen. and I was at a seafood restaurant down here on the beach. And so since I was there when that one happened, this one happened while I was asleep, which I wanted to watch it, but I couldn't stay up. So I may go back to that restaurant again, and that'll just be my every time I have a channel that gets 1 million subs, I'll go to that restaurant. Not even that great, but we got another super chat here. Thank you from Nike Tiaka Warrior 1 says, congrats on 1 million. You are the only progressive voice I trust 100% because you always tell the truth, even if it hurts to hear. Much props. Yeah, and that's always the downside of it is, sometimes I got to give you the news that even you don't want to hear, but we do it because we got to be honest, we got to be real, and we have to deal with the reality we live in, not the reality we wish to live in. So I always try to keep it 100%, even if it's negative about the Democrats, sometimes we got to hear that and we got to deal with what it is. Another super chat here. Thank you all so much for these today. VMan29397 says, hey, Farron, what disgusts me about Trump's planning to take Venezuela is that my homeland, Puerto Rico, is being used as a staging ground 20 years after they kicked out the Navy and the MAGA governor. The whole Venezuela thing is driving me insane because it's not getting the coverage. I mean, first of all, I hadn't heard that about Puerto Rico. And I'm somebody that's reading the news all day, every day, until I go to sleep. So we're missing so much of what is happening. And the problem is what we do know is happening is also still not even getting the coverage. I mean, where is the outrage? 70% of the American public, they have polled the issue. 70% say, no, we shouldn't go and invade Venezuela, but 30% say, yeah, we should. 30% of this country says, yeah, we should just randomly go attack this other country that is not an aggressor, did not have any hostilities towards the United States. There was no trade embargo. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing that Venezuela was doing to go out of their way to be jerks to us or to harm us. Nothing. And yet we're on the cusp of war because Donald Trump is like, I need a distraction from Epstein. Let's go invade Venezuela. Let's put a $50 million bounty on their president. That's what he did. This is insanity. Another super chat here from Weston Gale 5899 says, Farron, congrats on 1 million subscribers, my man. I can't tell you enough how grateful I am to have found you over 4 years ago. Keep fighting the good fight, man. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. All the kind words that I usually see. Sometimes horrible things go through the comments, but I appreciate that. You guys are way too kind. Another super chat here from VMan29397 says, continue from last super chat. Jennifer Gonzalez is cheerleading it on as she drives Puerto Rico into the ground to please Trump with ICE raids. By the way, her party is the same one that supports statehood. Puerto Rico, of course, is a bit of a tricky issue because we do have, the statehood argument. Then you've got some that, especially in Puerto Rico, they're like, no, we don't. Yes, we do. It is so complicated and nuanced. And it's difficult with the way, Trump treated Puerto Rico during his first term and what he's doing now. God forbid. At least they didn't get slammed by any horrific hurricanes this time. So he didn't go down and throw some paper towels at people. But yeah, it's a very, very complicated issue. I've got some friends that live in Puerto Rico, and it's awful the way the United States has treated Puerto Rico for decades now. Let me go ahead and move on here because I do have this other story that I definitely want to cover because we got the truth about Donald Trump's MRI yesterday, straight from Caroline Leavitt. So, you can totally trust it, right? Because anything that comes out of her mouth is basically coming out of the mouth of God. So Caroline Leavitt does this press briefing. She's getting hammered by reporters. She's not getting hammered, although I think she'd be more fun if she would. Maybe wouldn't lie as much. Maybe let that truth serum get in there and tell us what's really happening. But anyway, she's getting hammered by reporters about the MRI results because Trump came out in Air Force One over the weekend and was like, yeah, I I don't know what they did. So Levitt suddenly, out of nowhere, has the official medical report in the middle of the press briefing. She didn't come there with it. It magically appears on her podium while she's talking. And here's what she said about Donald Trump's MRI. She said, this is from the physician. As part of President Trump's comprehensive executive physical, advanced imaging was performed because men in his age group benefit from a thorough evaluation of cardiovascular and abdominal health. The purpose of this imaging is preventative, to identify any issues early, confirm overall health, and ensure the president maintains long-term vitality and function. President Trump's cardiovascular imaging was perfectly normal. No evidence of arterial narrowing, impairing blood flow, or abnormalities in the heart or major vessels. The heart chambers are normal in size. The vessel walls appear smooth and healthy. I think you're thinking of his brain appears smooth, not the heart walls. And there are no signs of inflammation or clotting. Overall, his cardiovascular system shows excellent health. His abdominal imaging is also perfectly normal. All major organs appear very healthy and well perfused. Everything evaluated is functioning within normal limits with no acute or chronic concerns. In summary, this level of detailed assessment is standard for an executive physical at President Trump's age and confirms that he remains in excellent overall health. So no circulation issues? None? Even though you've already confirmed to the public about his swollen ankles that he has circulation issues, and yet now, even with his gigantic cankles, that's not a thing? So it's weird that we suddenly, magically, if you will, get this MRI report that completely negates Donald Trump's previous medical reports. I did not know that that would happen. And of course, she also said that this was just a preventative MRI because, right? I mean, who amongst us doesn't go in every couple of months just to get an MRI to make sure everything's working right? None of this is believable. None of this is even close to believable. I don't think they were even looking at the heart. Now, it is common to do cardiac MRIs, but it's only common to do those when other forms of heart monitoring, and EKG, echocardiogram, all that kind of stuff, when they don't yield conclusive enough results, or if those tests show we need to get a closer look. So even if it was on his heart, which I don't believe whatsoever, since it happened right after his cognitive exam, that's none of this is believable. I got a couple of super chats here that I need to get to. First one says, not my handle 390. Says, do you think the Democrats will actually hold the administration accountable after this craziness is over, or is it going to be like the Obama administration wanting to look forward? God, I hope they do. I don't want another one of those Obamas, like, we have to look forward, not backwards. It was pretty speech at the time, but it left a sour taste in a lot of our mouths. So they better do some accountability here. They may not even go after Trump because of the executive privilege and immunity and all that crap, but at least the cabinet. Like, let's haul all those idiots to jail. Another super chat here from Vilguar says, hey, will you do more collaboration with other people now that this is your full-time gig? A lot of people actually tend to ask me that a lot, like, oh, you should do something with these people. You do some of these people. I'm definitely open to it. Am I set up to do it? No. Do I know how to do that? No. For all my life, I've been very tech savvy, but when it comes down to, the whole camera thing and all these different programs, like, oh, I use OBS. Oh, I use Streamcast. I use this. You lose me. So I don't even know how to do that. And honestly, I don't even know what the point of it is. Yeah, let's do a segment together. Okay, but why? No offense to any of these folks. There's tons of great people out there, but it's like, but why Why? You want to do a segment, just go do a segment. You don't need me there for that. I don't need you there for that. We do it every day. Now, if it was like, hey, we're all going to go and like travel and do a big thing together, hell yeah. I'm 100% on board for that. But in terms of just like, hey, let's, link up digitally and do something together, I don't see much point in that. Which, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm definitely always down to do interviews. Anybody who's like, hey, you want to come on my show? Hell yeah, absolutely. But beyond that, I'm doing my thing and they're doing their things. So we'll see. Another super chat here says, congrats on 1 million, Farron. You're my favorite. Working up the courage to start my own channel. Hope I can be as awesome as you. That's from Cat Lady Elegy. You should do it. Do it. Anybody that wants to start a channel should start a channel. There's no better time than now. The second best time is now. You know what I mean? Like, don't put it off. Don't wait. This is a market that is becoming very, very saturated to the point where I do think it is very oversaturated, especially with, the different kinds of creators now, because you've got people that just dominate on TikTok and don't do crap on YouTube. Like their YouTube channels are awful in terms of views. You got people who do amazing on YouTube, and then you look at their other social medias like they're crap. So everything is building up. There's more and more people getting into this because, again, it doesn't take much to just start. Most people are just doing it straight from their phones. They don't need the fancy equipment. They don't need the fancy studio lightings or the crazy, took me 2 months to build the damn thing background. They're doing it. And that's the best way to do it. If you have something to say it. Get it on camera, put it out there and say it. And don't be discouraged when it's like, well, only 3 people watched it. Okay. Tomorrow that may be 6, then 12, then 24, then 100, then 100,000. Things grow. And I think, us hitting 1 million subscribers yesterday is proof of that. I didn't start with 1 million. I didn't get to promote this channel on Ring of Fire at all until I finally announced on Ring of Fire that I was leaving. So this was through no promotion, just natural organic growth, and it happens. So if you're considering starting any kind of channel, starting any kind of content building or creation, do it, and do it now. Because the longer you wait to do it, other people are going to jump in. And then it's going to be harder and harder to find you. And that's unfortunately a thing we do see a lot of with some really great people on YouTube that I know of. They're not seeing any growth anymore. And their content is phenomenal. I love it. But they're not able to grow the same way that some of us have been growing because it's getting buried. And a lot of that is, we've talked to our YouTube reps. Some of these groups put out so much content that it really does almost drown out everybody else, algorithmically speaking. So the longer you wait, the more other people are going to be able to, kind of flood the market, oversaturated, and it's going to be harder to find your stuff. You want to start now. So thank you for that, though, by the way. Want to move on to one more story to talk about today because I think this is very important. The White House, during the press briefing yesterday, of course, where Caroline Leavitt was lying her face off about Trump's MRI, also found a new scapegoat for Pete Hegseth's Kill the Survivors scandal. As everybody knows, on September 2nd, there was a strike on an alleged drug boat out there in the ocean. Strike hit, boats destroyed, people are floating in the water. And they decided, you know what? Hit them again. Like they're sitting at a blackjack table. Hit me again. And they did. They killed the survivors. That, of course, has blown up now that it's been exposed to the point where even Republicans in the House and Senate are demanding investigations into this, which is great. It's the latest in a long line of scandals for Pete Hegseth. But the White House, rather than just saying, you know what, screw it, get rid of Hegseth because he's a huge liability dragging us all down, they decided to find somebody else to scapegoat. So Caroline Leavitt told us who that new person is yesterday. It is Admiral Frank Bradley. Admiral Frank Bradley's the guy that did it, not Pete Hegseth, but she also said Hegseth ordered Bradley to do the strike, but Bradley's the guy who did it. So even though Hegseth told him to do it, and he's, of course, required to do it, because you can't listen to the Democrats and ignore illegal orders, it's not Hegseth's fault. That's the hill they have chosen to rest upon. Hegseth ordered it, but the other guy pushed the button. So it's the button pusher, Admiral Frank Bradley, who's only been on the job since October 3rd. Wait a minute. How can that be? How can a guy who's only been on the job since October 3rd have been the one to push the button on a military operation that took place on September 2nd? So, in order for this to be real here, Admiral Frank Bradley must have a time machine. That's the only logical conclusion, is that the guy who got the job a month after the thing happened got in his time machine, okay, obviously, right? Went back a month and a day earlier to push the button, hopped back in his time machine, goes to October 3rd where he gets the job. Maybe based on his past action of going back in time. I don't know. It's a real crazy time loop thing here. We're going to need the TVA to step in and figure this out and correct the timeline. But yeah, that's what she said. It's Frank Bradley. So we'll see how that plays out. Honestly, at this point, just fire Hegseth. I mean, he's had 3 Signalgate scandals, or at least 3 leak scandals, 2 of them Signalgate. The horrific speech to the military, calling them all fat, lazy slobs. Shouldn't have been confirmed in the first place based on the history that he has with ex-wives, and his own mother didn't like him. He had a drinking problem, maybe still does, who knows. His, charity that he was running seemed to be a big giant scam based on reports. The guy has 1,000 negatives. He could easily be replaced with literally any other MAGA loyalist in the country. So why is this administration putting up with this when we know that back in June, Trump called him into the White House and screamed at him because of the nonstop scandals? So why not just replace him? Why not just say, you know what, get out of here? You got a perfect excuse to do it now that he's, committed war crimes. Because let's not forget, the initial just bombing the boat the first time was a war crime. Bombing it the second time is like a super war crime. So you're in a whole new level of what war crimes could even possibly be. It's insane, but it's what we've got here. You could fire him. Everybody'd be happy about that. They're not even going to question why you put him there in the first place. Sounds like a win-win for you guys. But then again, it may hinder your attempts to, invade Venezuela. So I guess it is a little iffy for you if you want to start another war for no damn reason. Hey, look, folks, I got to get out of here. It's been wonderful. Again, every day now, except for Friday, so not every day, but Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 9 a.m. Central Time, live streams, okay? We're going to be talking about the biggest news of the day, the most important things, the most fun things. I'm going to be taking your comments. I will, of course, read more comments tomorrow. I didn't get to a ton today, but I do enjoy that. I like the back and forth. So thank you all. As usual, if you're not following me across the rest of social media, please do so at Farron Balanced. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Threads, and Blue Sky at Farron Balanced. Also, if you're not subscribed to this channel, please go ahead and do so. Let's hit that 2 million mark sometime in the next year or two, maybe sooner, who knows. But it's been great talking with you all today. Tune back in tomorrow, and don't forget, got a lot of great segments coming up throughout the rest of the day. Have a good one. I'll talk to you next time.